Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat, appreciate it. Also, shout out to some of the newer viewers in recent time, like Weedleby, Maria, and Paige, and what's your one, Dory? Or is that from Finding Nemo? Shit. Is it Dory? They've got blonde hair. That's all I can remember. That's useful, isn't it? But yes, it's good how you get new waves of people coming in and for most part of it on good behaviour. See Joseph, all you have to do is look up to these key people and then you'll fall in line. As for famous up, we'll sort you out shortly, okay? That sounds a bit weird. But yeah, we are talking about the Dylan Rounds case today. More unfinished business, some key interesting points to look at, events, timestamps, map analysis, just visually depicting and trying to understand what happened and what could have happened and if Dylan was present at the time, as well as post Dylan's disappearance with the likes of Jim and Don, questions around that and locations. We've got all of that to look at, okay? So I've got the odd rough timestamp, timestamp date, okay? But we can, go through it bit by bit and try and understand and ask important questions which may have not been said before and see if people can answer any of them, maybe in the live chat, because as we go along, you can share your thoughts and opinions, reactions to the stuff, and also talk about other things in between, okay? And then there's time after that, we will continue with those motels in Wine Mucker, okay? Because I know Weedleby was like, yeah, give it to me, big boy. I want it right now, come on. You ask, you will receive, okay? So before we plow on in to the map analysis and the Dylan Rounds case, I don't know if Famous Up is here right now. She could be late. So I'm sure we can repeat the process at the end of the video just to be safe. But if you hear Famous Up, the horse says hello, okay? And I want to, surprise people right now, okay? No, the banana is away. It's been handed over, transaction. Someone at this moment in time is currently looking after my banana, so that's not the surprise. What the surprise is, the horse... No, it's not quite Brenner's horse, okay? It's not been reincarnated. This is somebody else's horse, okay? I think it's time we feed it, When you've got a horse, it needs food. Now, do I have any apples? No, but I do have a carrot and I do have a pear, so we're going to give it to him right now. So, horse, what do you want to eat first? Do you want the carrot or do you want the pear? What's that? Oh, you want the pear? Okay. So here's the pear. Okay, you can see the little leaf on it still. So you ready to eat it? Okay, go on. Don't be too shy. Take a nibble at it. Don't nibble the tip of it. Ooh, that looks a bit weird, that, doesn't it? Anyway, you nibble wherever you want, okay? Yeah? Go on. Get in there. Put it in your mouth. You're being a bit resistant, aren't you? I mean, why are you so resistant having some food put in your mouth? Do you not want to eat? You're not hungry? Yeah? Come on. Yes, you like that, don't you? Oh, yes. Yeah, there you go. Is that it? Yeah? You finished the pear? Yeah, there we go. Does anyone else want to eat a pear? You over there? You in the chat? Yeah, I can see you. I'll just hand you the pear over now. You get your mouth round this. Lucky for you, this pear is very fresh, moist, juicy, and when you take a bite out of it, it's going to be pure wetness, okay? So there you go, yeah. Oh, whoa! Don't snatch it out of my hand, naughty. Okay, you might want it, but, just be a bit respectful, okay? So, last but not least, do you want to feed the horse Famous Up? Well, you can do after this video, okay? So, horse, you ready to eat the carrot? Yeah? This one? You want the carrot? Yeah? Which way? Do you want to nibble the thick end or the very thin end? You want the thin tip, or do you want the chunky bit at the top? Or you want to go for the tip first? Okay, you have the tip. There you go. Oh, you like that? Much more easier to eat, isn't it? You want to eat some of the green stuff as well at the end? That's up to you. Yeah, oh yeah, you have that. Go on, there you go. You can have the side bit as well. Enjoying that? Yeah? Good, good, good. Whoa, whoa, get away, calm down, horse. So obviously Famous Up is not here at the moment. I'll show it after again, because I'm sure the horse will get very hungry again. Does anyone want a carrot right now? Oh, you over there? Okay. Okay, steady, steady. Is your mouth open? Yeah? Here comes the plane. Wow, you managed to take that whole. I'm surprised you could fit it in your mouth. Maybe you've got experience. That's something I don't really need to know. But there you go. Congratulations. So I think... Why am I zipping up? I don't know. Got to be prepared, right? I don't know if I said it as well. Gorilla Jack showed up in the live chat yesterday, which was a surprise. Wasn't expecting him. I think I might have mentioned his name, and then suddenly he just shows up out of nowhere. So that's interesting. We've got some new characters coming along the way. What has Gorilla Jack got to do with the Dylan Rounds case? Well, it's more to do with the Dylan Rounds community. It's just another individual that's shown up out of nowhere. I'm sure I could see a little beard or something going on near the mouthpiece, but then again, you know, I'm sure it's not Brenner in disguise. It's not going to be Brenner, is it? You know, Brenner's got his beard shaved. Unless it's Santa in disguise. Indiana, quick. I'm sorry, Indiana. I should be saying, Indiana. Indiana. Is that better? I sound like a peasant. I sound like a peasant. I'm going to spit on myself. You little peasant, Andrew. Stop that. Indiana. That's how I'll call you. Now, I'm sure Weedleby said, you can call me whatever you want. I'm sure Jim Terry would have a field day if he had that opportunity. But don't worry. I am an innocent person. I will call you Weedleby. Okay? I'll be good. So, I think that aside, as I was saying, with Gorilla Jack just randomly showed up in the community talking about some of the individuals, Shack Lady, I think Jim Terry, Pancakes, and those other characters as well. I don't know how long it will last for. I don't know if it's some kind of drama or it's messing around. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It just it just happens anyway. I think what we should do now, more importantly, is focus in on the Dylan Rounds case and what we're going to be looking at today on the maps, okay? Got a few little markers here and there. I can explain them if you want me to, and we'll go from there, okay? Let's get into it now. Okay, so here we are on Google Earth. As you can see, not as many markers, not as cluttered, which is good. So where do we look first? Well, I think we should do it in the correct order, right? Now, as for additional timestamps like Chase Venstra, I'm not including it in this video as, you know, what I'd rather do. And what I'd rather do is, if I'm going to include timestamps on the day Dylan disappeared, then, you know, I'll piece it all together like that, where everyone was at different times. But because this is looking at before Dylan went missing and after, it would probably be a bit fragmented and all over the place, and it would probably cause more confusion. So that's why we are, dissecting the events which occurred around, after, or before Dylan went missing, okay? And then in time, possibly, if it still hasn't been solved or Dylan hasn't been recovered, we might be able to tie it all together, stitch it bit by bit like Ed Gein's leather mask, and come to a possible conclusion, okay? So if we zoom in here, why do we have one blue one? Well, this is like to do with unanswered questions, key locations that need investigating, taking a look at in some way, which need attention on them. The blue one isn't directly tied to Dylan's disappearance or the case, but it is a location that has been talked about during the case as a possible place. But there's not been much investigation, leads, evidence, info coming out of the place. So it's still a place of intrigue and question, but because not much has happened, there's not like enough concrete evidence behind it to say that's where Dylan's at or that's where Brenner went. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a point to point out. The red stuff is what we're mainly focusing on today, right? And yeah, I think what we should do is start with the 26th of May. Sure, the 25th, you had Dylan over in the Montello area round here, more specifically near Tacoma or going down Tacoma Road. They were saying like a gravel path. So if we zoom on in, I'm not too sure if I can do it completely on the spot. I guess I can try. I believe this is Tacoma Road. Now, it doesn't appear to be a gravelled path, does it? It looks more of a dirt road. So I don't know where the gravel is in the area, but this is where Chase Venstra was supposedly at, and Dylan came across him, picked him up, and then took him to Montello, which is over there, as you can see where that marker is, the saddle saw bar. I know I didn't read it completely, unfortunately. I'm sure Indiana can tell me off for that. But in her comment, she was saying on the 25th as well, Dylan did get some gas, went out there. I don't know if that's like 100% true, because I think it's different to what Candice Cooley said, kind of messy. But, I'll just try and tell the story and explain it as we go along, okay? I just wanted to do a brief shout out to the 25th of May, right? Because it has been talked about and it is a key timestamp, key part in the timeline, right? But yeah, we're just focusing on the 26th. Now, the 26th in the past was, one of the main talking points, right? Because it was being contested. Some were saying Dylan went to Saddle Saw Bar on the 26th. Other people said he went on the 27th. And then some people in between were saying he went on the 26th, but only left and went back to his place, his farm in Lucin, on the 27th towards night time. So he stayed there over the night. Now, interestingly enough, it was Jay Silverheels that actually mentioned that point in the past. Now, to some of you, you might be wondering who he is. A few people will know he's the man, he's the myth, he's the legend. He's the guy that will call you a genius one day, and then the next day he'll call you insane and that you need locking up. He's the true definition of the opposite of insanity, okay? So, aside from that, okay, there was confusion, okay, with time. Just like all the other events and key dates and times and bits of information, it switched and changed. You had posters as well, some saying the 25th when he was last seen, others saying the 26th, some saying the 27th, others not even including the 28th, that date. So it's been a bit of a mess, right? And I'm sure how I structured it was as well, but that's kind of like depicting like literally how it was. So we try and clean it up. As in recent time, from the latest information from Candice Cooley in the interview with No Thanks Doug's channel, it was mentioned there that she said Dylan, and this will also tie in with a future video, okay? Candice Cooley did bring all this up because of the whole distance with the truck and gas consumption leading to other things later on, okay, which we'll get to in another video. And Candice Cooley started it off saying, well, Dylan would Dylan got into his truck, okay, and we'll tell the story as we go along right now. There's no harm in doing so. Dylan got in his truck, drove down, obviously carrying on, whichever way, went back roads or not, coming over here, okay, on the dirt road, and driving into this place. Now, in terms of the actual time, the timestamp, I'm not too sure, but it was on the 26th of May. Candice Cooley said Dylan went to this place, Montello. As you can see here, the town. And this is where he got gas, okay? I know that could be contested. It could be the day before. I know Indiana said that, but I did hear Candice Cooley say that Dylan got gas at the gas station, which is... Let me just flip the screen so we can see it clearly. Where about is it? Here. Gas station here. Got his gas, filled up his truck, his Ford F-150, the burgundy one, the pickup truck. And whilst he was in this area, visited Saddle Sore Bar. Okay. And the 27th is when he left. So it's like trying to understand, okay, so what exactly went on in that time frame, right? Just to fill in the end point as well, so you're not left on a cliffhanger, on the 27th of May, that's when Dylan left this place, right? And I think it was the 27th when he made his last transaction, like paying for a meal or paying for some food, okay? Driving all the way back, whether it be on the highway or probably on the dirt road, and going back to Lucin over here. Bear in mind, it was later on in the day. Okay, once again, I don't know the exact time stamp. Not in between. Eventually getting back to his farm, which is over here. And then, whether it be immediately getting out of his truck and then beginning farm work, or shortly afterwards, it was around 11:30 p.m. on a Friday, on the 27th of May, 11:30 p.m. to 11:45 p.m. That's when he did his farming, his seeding, whilst he was driving the tractor. Now, how would Candice Cooley know that information, the timestamps of him farming on that day at night? Well, it's because campers, people camping out in the area, witnessed it. Witnessed the tractor with the lights on, doing, the task of farming. Now, you could argue and say, who's to say it was Dylan in the tractor? It could have been somebody else. But I think with common sense, who else could be bothered to do farm work and seeding late at night? Not really many, if not any at all. Really only Dylan would, because of his mindset and the way he works and operates, right? Now, one thing I just want to throw in quickly, a question. So we heard that Dylan made that call to the grandmother the day after, the 28th, on a Saturday. And it was about, got to park the grain truck inside the shed because it's raining, rain is coming. When did Dylan hear about the weather report? Did he know the day before, and that's why he did the seeding late at night? Make the most of it before it's too late? Is that a possibility? Or did he only find out on a Saturday, and that's what led to him rushing about? I want to know your thoughts down below. I might even do a poll right now. Did Dylan know it was raining on the Friday, and that's why he came back late at night to do seeding? Or did he only find out on the Saturday, and that's why he's moved the grain truck? Leave your thoughts down below. I think if Dylan did find out on the Friday, it kind of makes sense for him coming back to the place, right? And doing what he did late at night. Because he could have done it on a Saturday during the daytime, right? I know people talk about the heat and the weather, It's probably easier to do at nighttime because it's cooler. But I don't know too much about Dylan's work rate in hot weather, so I can't comment too much on that. But Dylan did have days ahead to get on with the stuff, but the rain would have prevented it. So you want to get it done as soon as possible. And I guess the only reason why the grain truck was parked in the grain shed the day later was because it was nighttime. It was late. You know, maybe Dylan would, but he couldn't park the grain truck in the grain shed, mainly because it's late at night and someone like Brenner, who is up here near the grain shed, most likely, most definitely fast asleep. If Dylan tried driving up to the grain shed, up to the gate area, unfortunately it's not loading in quite well here, but you can see the black line. If Dylan did try, it just wouldn't have worked. What I want to do just very briefly is kind of like tell a very brief alternative story. We're doing a story within a story, okay? Because I've just wondered, would it be any different? I'll tell the story and then you tell me, would it have been a different outcome whatsoever? So if Dylan is at Montello, right, at a saddle sore bar, he's having a few drinks or just hanging about, talking, whether he stays the night in Kurt Wadsworth trailer following into the 27th, hanging out and about, going to the bar again possibly, and then later on, that's when it happens. And do we have any images? I think it would help, right? I might have to type it in. Yeah, there we go. Do we have any images inside? There we go. So I'm going to tell the story. Here we go. So, 27th of May, Dylan possibly inside of the bar. A TV screen nearby comes on with the weather report saying how it's going to rain in the area. Dylan catches note and thinks, oh shit, I probably need to do my seeding now before it's too late. I got to get on with it. And that's what may have encouraged him to leave Montello on the 27th later on in the day. I don't know if he informed Kurt Wadsworth or not. I don't know. So he got in his truck, drove all the way back to his farm, driving at a reasonable rate, not too recklessly, probably. Getting all the way back to his farm, getting out, getting in his tractor, doing what needs to be done. And at 11:45, he completes the task. What's going through his mind at that point? This is where the alternative story comes in, and you tell me if it could have been different. If Dylan was thinking, right, I've done this, I might as well at this rate, because I'm on a roll, park the truck, the grain one, back at the grain shed. No, I won't do it the day later. No, I'll do it now, because I just want to get it out the way, and then I can get on with other stuff, meet up with family, go round to my dad's house or my mother's, and take it from there. So driving down, passing some tunnels inside the grain truck, driving up to the gate, which, let's say, was unlocked. Getting up to here, possibly disturbing Brenner with the loud truck noise. Apologies about the blurriness. Parking it up, going inside of the grain shed, that black outline, parking it, and then where would he go from there? Would he walk it back in the dark? Likely not. And that's where I end that alternative story, because it's very important to have common sense, right? But for whatever reason, if there was a vehicle nearby which he could have used to get back, then maybe he would have done, right? But because it's basically the truck Dylan used to go to Montello on the 26th and then come back 27th to his farm, he would have parked it back at his farm, then he would have got inside of the grain truck to go to the grain shed, and then he still would have been left without a vehicle to get back. So whichever day, it doesn't matter, he would have had to walk back home or walk back to his farm. And in the middle of the night, it's the most impractical things to do. So that's why he did it the day later on Saturday. But what I will say, if it wasn't so late in the day and he did it earlier on and he parked the grain truck in the shed before Saturday, I think there's a chance that Dylan would still be alive. I don't know for now, or like it would have prevented, delayed the inevitable. I'm not quite sure about that, but you think about it. If Dylan was to park the grain truck in the shed successfully the day before and not get caught by Brenner, let's just say, one of the main suspects, Dylan would have then left the area, because he doesn't live here permanently, and gone on to Justin's place or Candice Cooley's or / and whichever order it's in, then gone on to do more custom farming. Because as Candice Cooley said in a past interview, if it was raining and Dylan couldn't do his farm task, get on with stuff around the farm, then, there's not much to do, so you just go on elsewhere and either hang out with family or get on with other work in different areas. So that's what would have happened. Dylan would have been away from Brenner and he would have been okay, right? That's one of the spooky ways of looking at it. What I do want to say as a poll right now is, if Dylan was to park the grain truck in the shed the day before, later on but not late enough for it to be light enough to walk back, okay? If that was successfully done, and he most likely would have been alive, do you think it would have prevented Dylan from going missing at the end of the day? Or do you think it would have happened regardless? Maybe a different day, a different week, a different month, a year on from then? Would it have still happened? Would Dylan still have been killed at a later point if the 28th was prevented from happening? I know you can't go back and change history and all of that because it gets messy, but what are your thoughts? I've got the poll up. I'll set the poll up now, okay? And just see what you think. It'd be interesting to see the votes and how people think, right? So that was just like a little alternative story, and that's why I definitely highlight it as an alternative story. Not that it happened, but if it did happen, it could have led to this or prevented that, right? So because that's out of the way, we can just focus back in on Montello, right? Because as you can see from what we know now and the way it's been worded in recent time by Candice Cooley, etc., Dylan was present here. A transaction was made as well, and some locals did see him in the area, right? You could still ask questions here and there about that, but it's the event, what supposedly happened on the day Dylan was present, right? Now, you might be able to see it in text on screen. And it has been mentioned, I think, here and there. I've talked about it in the past, but it wasn't talked about as an event. It was more talked about as a possibility. You know when you come up with different theories and ideas. Now, if you look back on one of my previous videos on my channel, you actually see more about it, as well as an in-depth layout of the bar, right? That's why I don't want to go too deep into it, because I've got my own previous video, but we can, in a way, strengthen it on from that till now, okay? If you do want to check it out, it will be available to watch. It's an earlier video, right? I think it's called Ambush or something. in the thumbnail, possibly. But yeah, people in recent time have been saying that on the 26th of May, there was a fight inside a saddle saw bar. Is that an unusual thing to happen? No. Fights can break out anywhere, any place, any time. Most definitely in a bar. There's a disagreement, hangout, a group of guys come in, or a group of people, a gang, confrontation, disagreement, a grudge, whatever it may be. Even if it's just like fueled by alcohol, because that, if you're drunk and stuff, that can make you aggressive as well. So who knows what the dispute was or what exactly caused it. The question would be, though, who was involved during that time? Now, can I get the picture back up at the place, possibly? I don't know if I can. Do I have to type it in again? I hate it when it does that. I just want to get the photo up of inside just so I can narrate as we go along. I don't know how many photos there are. Looks like there's only one, so that will have to do, right? So, you're looking at the place, what it looks like inside. Now, it has been referred to as Saddle Saw Bar, correct? You've got the Cowboy Bar and Grill nearby as well. But Saddle Saw Bar is talked about more often, and Candice Cooley said that's where Dylan was at, right? I don't know if it's like Saddle Saw Bar provides alcohol and other drinks, the Bar and Grill provides food, or if Saddle Saw Bar also provides a bit of food. I'm not quite sure. Either both do it or one does more than the other. Okay. But people are saying that the fight, that event occurred in Saddle Saw Bar, right? And that was on the 26th. So Dylan came down to Montello on the 26th, as described by Candice Cooley in the past and also recently, and described by other YouTubers and investigators as well. Did Dylan see what happened? Did Dylan hear, visualize who was involved and what may have caused it? Now, you can't be then questioning Dylan and say, okay then, Dylan, what actually happened? Because that would be silly, because Dylan is missing. But is there any possibility that Dylan got involved in the fight? Whether he stepped on in to try and break it up and it went wrong, or he was involved in the fight from the beginning, whether it be a solo fight or a complete brawl between different people, and he was defending someone. I'm not quite sure. Does Kurt Wadsworth know of this? I know people might say, it probably might be mentioned in an interview, but to look out for one little point out of a 6-8 hour video, it seems a bit far-fetched, right? It seems a bit extreme to go to that length to just look for that one little point. But yeah, Kurt Wadsworth owning the bar, Saddle Saw. Would he have been behind the bar and watch it happen? Did anyone break up the fight, or did it just escalate and then eventually they cooled down? Did the fight break out inside or outside? Did they exit or enter when it happened? Just little questions like that. I know some of you could be thinking, well, if Dylan was present and there was a fight, maybe Dylan got hurt, which then led to him going missing. Yeah, possibility. I mean, the way I worded it in the past was maybe... I'll just tell you in brief before certain things started coming out. I tied it in more with the money at the time, that Dylan was in the bar, sat down, minding his own business, maybe talking to the odd person. He might have brought up the conversation about money, the 33K check, what he got from the custom farming. Maybe someone nearby overheard it but misinterpreted it and thought that meant that Dylan had money on him. So they ambushed Dylan when he left and took him out in hopes of getting the money, and then realised there wasn't any because it was a check and it was already cashed in. But they didn't know, the ones that were eavesdropping on the conversation, right? That was my original concept of what could have happened. But Does it seem likely now? No. And even if Dylan was involved in the fight, I don't think it would have led to his disappearance immediately. The reason why I say that, and we can just reinforce it like how we did before with telling that story, just to strengthen it, might as well be repetitive with important moments. The reason why Dylan wouldn't have gone missing on the 27th, right, is one, because he made it back to his farm, and two, on the 28th, he made a phone call to the grandmother, Karen Rounds, about parking the grain truck in the grain shed. You could say, yeah, but maybe somebody else was using the phone. Well, one, why would they want to do a task like that? I don't think they could be bothered to. And two, the person that was on the phone, obviously the grandmother, Karen, could identify who was on the end of the phone, which was Dylan, because you would have heard the person's voice. I don't think anyone would have tried intimidating or trying to do Dylan's voice. You would have heard it. You would have, picked up on it immediately, right? So I think that clears that up. But is there a possibility that there might have been a lingering grudge building up, which then led on to the following day, and a group of people from Saddlesaw Bar, Montello area went down to Dylan's place to have a word with him, sort something out, get revenge? That is a possibility. That is an open-ended question. So I'll do another poll right now. So despite Dylan being present and alive in the early hours of the morning on the 28th, do you think there is a possibility that if a fight occurred in Saddlesaw Bar the day before, that maybe an individual or group had a grudge against Dylan for whatever reason, which carried on over to the 28th, and then Dylan was hurt, taken out in some way? Do you think that's a possibility? You could be wondering, well, what about Brenner though? How does Brenner get involved? Well, I think what we've got to understand is, from what Brenner said himself, on Friday, all throughout the day, from early hours to late at night, following into Saturday up to 2:30 p.m, Brenner said he was in his trailer, right? Zoom out just so you can see it visually. Brenner, near the grain shed, in his trailer during Friday, all throughout. It's to be expected. He's lazy. People have called him a slob, probably asleep, or could be drinking, could be having a hangover. So he was nowhere near Montello, nowhere near Saddlesaw Bar on the 26th, probably, and most definitely the 27th, because he said he wasn't. Candy Scully relayed that. Could it be a lie though? I mean, you never know, there could be twists and turns. You could throw in an alternative theory, that possibility that maybe Brenner was lying and he wasn't in his trailer on Friday. He might have gone down to Saddlesaw Bar. Very thin possibility, and the reason why I say that is more to do with Brenner. One, prefer being by himself. Two, he's closer to Don's, more likely to hang out with Don rather than other people because they're long-time friends, right? One of the main reasons to why Brenner left Montello, Nevada and went to Lucin, because Don was over there and encouraged him to move. So that's one of the main motives for that. There would be no need to go down to Montello. And thirdly, I don't think Brenner is really welcome in the area. He attacked Bivens. I forgot his first name, but the 70-year-old called Bivens, because I believe it was in this area back in 2021, correct me if I'm wrong, where there was that aggravated assault where Brenner used a lawn chair and hit the 70-year-old Bivens and then kicked him in the stomach and head whilst he was on the ground in Montello. I mean, that would make more sense. And you could be wondering, and we'll just do it on the spot, well, why would Brenner be in Montello in 2021 if it was Lance that said 2 years ago, which would have been 2020, if I'm correct in saying that's when Brenner's trailer burnt down? So he would have gone to Lucin back in 2020 at some point, not 2021. And if it was 2020, he wouldn't have gone back to Montello in 2021 because he wouldn't have been welcomed by that time. Well, that's a possibility. But Lance seemed to recorrect the dates. And I don't know if I can find the actual trailer on the spot. Apologies if I can't. I'll try and do it very quickly. Okay. It's just because whilst I'm telling these stories and certain events, it is more helpful to be able to seek out the area, right, and then tell it. So I've roughly got the area, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem to be like loading in visually. You got the mine down there, you got the barn here, and then lower down you got the trailer there. Good. It might load in, it might not. There we go. So that's Brenner's trailer in 2019, okay? And Lance said in 2020, which would have been 2 years ago from now, that's when the trailer burnt down or exploded. But then Lance recorrected or changed that to 1 year ago, so it would have been 2021 when it burnt down. That would make more sense and tie more in line with the whole 2021 aggravated assault, because what most likely happened was the aggravated assault in 2021 at some point occurred before Brenner's trailer burnt down. By the time Brenner's trailer burnt down, whether it was by accident or an external reason, that's when he was like, well, I've got nothing left for me in Montello, nothing going for me. The locals hate me, I've caused trouble, I've caused crime, I might as well move back on over. Well, no, not move back, but move to Lucin, because Don's over there, he's asked me, why not get away from it all? And once that occurred, he never returned back to Montello, probably. That's how I see it, okay? So, and I just want to throw it in on the spot because it's yet another talking point. Lance said it was Lance, okay? Lance said Brenner accidentally left the stove on and there was gas canisters inside, and that's what caused the explosion. Incompetence. I mean, Brenner's the type of guy that could probably do that, but someone like Salty Pancakes said something different. That someone shot at it, which caused the explosion, shooting at the canister, I guess, and triggered it. Now, Brenner wasn't inside of the trailer at the time. The only question I put forwards, how does Lance know? How does Lance know Brenner did it by accident? That's all I want to know. And has Candice Cooley came out with the same story or not? Leave your thoughts down below, it's important. Because the way I would see it, if the aggravated assault in 2021 occurred and Brenner's trailer burning down happened in the same year, is there a possibility that there is a tie between the two events? With Bivens getting attacked by Brenner, Bivens wanted revenge on Brenner. So Bivens may have gone down to Brenner's trailer and shot at it, or turned on the stove, had the gas canisters inside to make it seem like an accident. And then it exploded to get revenge on Brenner, because he got hurt by Brenner earlier on. Do you think that's another possibility? I'm going to do a poll now because these are very, the small but the very important talking points, okay? So, do you believe, and this is the poll question, do you believe that Brenner's trailer burning down or exploding was a result of carelessness by Brenner's hand and own doing, or was it an act of revenge by a victim of Brenner's in the past, such as Bivens? Leave your thoughts. Could that explain why the crutch was found near the trailer? You remember the crutch? Brief backstory. When Lance in 2022, along with Kimber, when they went to Brenner's burnt down trailer and was exploring it, nearby on the right hand side next to the chicken coop, there was a crutch and only one laying on the floor. Could that be of Bivens? If Bivens is 70 years old, he's getting on a bit. You think back to 2021, that crutch may have been used by Bivens. I know people have said Brenner used a crutch at some point because of his ankle injury, tripping over, twisting it or something. But surely Bivens would have had a crutch as well. Because if Bivens was attacked by Brenner, hit over the head or body with a lawn chair and then kicked in the stomach, the head and maybe the legs, and his age as well, and being a bit vulnerable and weak, it might have taken a toll on his body. So he used the crutch as a support when recovering. And maybe at the same time, Bivens might have gone down to Brenner's trailer to get revenge and to blow it up, but left the crutch behind, or maybe left one of the crutches behind. Do you think that's a possibility? I want to know your thoughts. Now, I know I did come out with an alternative theory in the past saying that looks more recent, that crutch. Someone else could have been there recently. That's also a possibility, but I think some people said that it doesn't look old because of the material it's made out of, so it doesn't age as well. It doesn't look old, it doesn't look rusty because it's not a metallic crutch. You know what I'm saying? So it could date back to 2021. So it'll be interesting to see once again what people say in the poll, whether they agree or not. Is it accidental or not? Was it an act of revenge? You could even go further and say, if it was from long distance, if you tie it in with Pancake's theory, is there a possibility that Bivens might have tried assassinating Brenner in some way, in hopes that he was inside, but he wasn't? You never know. I know in recent time Bivens showed up because Candice Cooley briefly mentioned it, or it was Justin Rounds in the Heavy D interview where Justin came across Bivens in recent time, and it was Bivens that said, oh yeah, I overheard Brenner at some point earlier saying he was going to kill Dylan. But then Candice Cooley said it's irrelevant because it's Bivens lying or something. So maybe Bivens has an agenda with some people. Now, apologies if it feels like we have detracted from the whole fight and brawl in Montello, but what I wanted to do was tie it in with Brenner and reasoning behind why he wouldn't have been involved in the fight on the 26th, mainly down to common sense that he's not really welcome in the area no more. So there's no real need for him to go down there. That could explain to why at a later point he went down to Wendover instead, because he's more welcome there, because he's done less crime in that area. He's not as notorious in that place. That's a possibility, right? And we can tie in on that very shortly. Hopefully you've not got too confused. What I will say is some of these points that have come out, which are quite deep, I've just came up with on the spot in my head. So that's why it's a little bit unstructured, right? But if for whatever reason we need to look back at these individual points, we can definitely do that. If as well, if I do forget in the future, if you want to leave like a little prompt as well, that'll be good. Why is it flickering? So yeah, we've got the bar. I think what we'll do, we'll just do the cowboy barn grill because there's a few more images there. Okay. Is that it? They call it barn grill, but this one says barn cafe. Okay, it's just loading. Right, so I just want to go on cowboy barn cafe. Try and tie it in with the 26th or the 27th because there is, and I'll just put the question out first of all. Okay, so it has been talked about widely that Dylan was in Saddle Sore Bar, mainly on the 27th, but he was in the area on the 26th as well. Whether it be the 26th or the 27th, the question I ask to you, the viewers, did Dylan go inside of Cowboy Bar and Cafe? Is that where he got his food from? Or did he get his food from Saddle Sore Bar? I mean, is it a big difference, whichever one it is? Not really, but what you got to take in mind, if Dylan did go to Cowboy Bar and Cafe on the 26th, then it's most likely he wasn't present during the fight in Saddle Sore Bar, as they're separate, apart from one another, as you can see on the maps. Where the start is located is roughly where Saddle Sore Bar is, and then where the other red icon with the circle, well, more of an oval in a way, just a bit higher up, that's where Cowboy Bar and Cafe is. We'll take a brief look inside because I know to some people they've already seen it, okay? But is there a possibility that a fight broke out in this area? As you can see, as a better example, in this one, you can see the TV screen, can't you? I mean, this could have been where Dylan was at some point. And, you know, if like the news cuts in or like the weather report on the TV screen and Dylan's at the bar, sat down, and then he looks up and then hears about the weather report, that could have been what triggered Dylan in responding, going back to the farm and being in a rush to do things against time and the weather that's approaching. Just like how it's a rush and a competition, a battle, eternal struggle to be searching for Dylan right now, post disappearance, because of the weather, the coldness, the winter. So you can see how things could have played out, if that's the possibility, right? Do we have any other images of the place? No, because they're outside. You got the menu there. I know some people said they wanted to see it. That's where it starts getting a bit confusing.
Raggy? Oh, Mixer Machine. Where's Scooby Snacks? Oh, man. I've seen this too many times. I think I need to go get Shaggy. Shaggy. Shaggy.
Yeah, you've seen that too many times now. It's getting a little bit dry. But you look in this place as well. The people that are present, different ages as well. Should be down there where Saddle Sore Bar's at, right? But this is what I mean. How big was the fight in this area in Montello? And who was directly involved? If Christopher Lloyd is present right now, the proper one, the real guy, does Christopher Lloyd, Ty Corbin, Lance, Ellen Berg, anyone that's from the area, within the area at the time, who's present right now in the live chat, do you know of a fight breaking out on the 26th of May? Did it happen, yes or no? If so, what scale? A big brawl or a small brawl? And regardless of whichever outcome, who was involved? Was it Wadsworth, Brothers, Kurt, someone else, a stranger, a random, a local, whoever? Who was involved? Because that's what we need to get to the bottom of. It might be seen as an isolated event because it happened before Dylan went missing. But if certain key individuals that have been associated within the Dylan Rounds case as suspects just so happen to appear in that brawl, that fight on the 26th, then it could tie in some way, right? For someone to get into a scrap and then go on to be listed as a suspect in Dylan's disappearance, that makes it more dodgy. Now, I don't think we can apply it to Brenner as how I worded it, but someone like Don Haitley could have gone down to Montello. Don't know too much about him in terms of his phone ping, his motives, his whereabouts before Dylan going missing, right? From the way it was worded, Don Haitley was at his place on the 28th of May, the day Dylan went missing, because Don Haitley was having his own barbecue, aside from the Memorial Day weekend one in Montello, which was a standalone one. Dylan was invited to go down, but he chose not to go because he was getting on with farm-related stuff. Brenna did go to Don's barbecue. Was that before or after Dylan disappeared? That's the question, right? Could have been a bit of both. Maybe Dylan was taken out, then went down to the barbecue, talked with Don, and then disposed after. Who knows? But we've done different theories regarding that. So, what about Chase Venstra? I mean, if this fight, this brawl, occurred before the 25th, then you could assume and associate the fight with maybe Chase Venstra. And that's why he was all bloodied and beaten up and bruised, and why he was found nearby wanting a lift from Dylan. He could have got in the fight, escaped from it, got out of it, and, it took a toll on his body. But obviously that did not happen because the brawl supposedly happened on the 26th and Chase was seen bloodied on the 25th. So there's no link there. And also, even if that wasn't the case, what you got to take in mind is as soon as Chase was picked up by Dylan, Chase wanted to go back to Montello. So if the fight occurred back there, you wouldn't want to return back, right? It wouldn't make any sense. So that rules that out. Though a different way of looking at it would be on the 25th, Chase Venstra returned back, was dropped off by Dylan in Montello. On the 26th, Dylan went down to Montello. Was Chase Venstra still there? Because I think that's a very important question and another point of whereabouts of the person. We haven't got definitive whereabouts of Don on the 26th or the 27th. We've kind of got whereabouts of Brenna on the 27th, but not the 26th. Okay. Kurt Wadsworth supposedly in Montello at the time. But what about Chase Venstra? Okay, we've heard about it in recent time by Candice Cooley with receiving information from the FBI that on the 28th, Chase Venstra was in Snowville, Utah at Flying J, a store, at 7 a.m. in the morning. And then later on in the day, going down to Clinton and going to the nearest KFC. And then later on at around 10:30 p.m. at Little Caesars having a pizza. Okay, you could argue that excuses him throughout the day Dylan went missing. I mean, there might be little blanks in between, but for most part of it, he's over in that area, more east, away from Lucin. But what about Chase Venstra's whereabouts and timestamps and phone pings of where was he at on the 26th and the 27th, okay? Before Dylan went missing. If we know where everyone was at on the 28th, that can definitely help, right? If that can't be done yet, then isn't it worth looking at before or after the timestamps and the complete whereabouts of where everyone was at the day before or the day before that, the 26th, where the fight supposedly occurred, right? I think it all ties in because if we know like certain key individuals were there on the 26th and that's when the fight broke out, then they could have been involved in some way, or they might have witnessed the fight and saw who was involved, which then might have tied with the day or the day after, which tied with Dylan going missing. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a lot to take in, I understand. You might need to rewind this video because I would say this, in terms of questioning and kind of theory and alternative stories, this may not be the longest, but it's one of the deepest videos I have done on the spot, right? Now, bear in mind, maybe a fair few of those points can be cleared up, debunked on the spot. Well, if so, that's just as good because it clears up loose ends, it gets rid of any confusion, and that's what's needed, right? It might even go on to new leads or new information what we've not heard before. So if there's any locals in the area that are watching this video right now, or you've only just come on to the live video premiere right now, rewind back, listen through it, and then feel free to answer down below in the comment section, because it's very important to know what happened, what didn't, who was where, and where was present, right? Before Dylan went missing. That's what we're mainly looking at, okay? So, I think that concludes that part. We've got to move on to the next part, right? So, apologies, the audio was a little bit different then. I was actually laying back on the bed and it was kind of comfortable, okay? I feel a bit tired now, which is probably not good midway through a video. Damn, I picked the wrong time, don't I? Okay. So, what do we move on to next? Well, we can get rid of that. We zoom out. And take in mind, this is a bit of a jump, right, in terms of dates. And it's not a strong one. It's like a rough one, estimate. So you remember the spring cleaning described by Brenner? That occurred on June the 2nd. So it's definitely after Dylan's disappearance. As Candice Cooley worded it in recent time, due to the phone pings and data, Dylan went missing and was taken care of on the same day, the 28th. So he was hurt, killed, disposed of, all in one day. That's what Candice Cooley has said. So if it was all done in one day, then was the individual, the suspect or suspects, very organised? No, as we've seen with the evidence, how it appeared, found or returned. If you want to know more about that and the weird patterns of behaviour, you'll have to check out my previous video on my channel. You'll see the title and the thumbnail about it. It's the video Hierarchy of Evidence and Explanations of Behaviour or Unusual Patterns of Behaviour. Okay, it's that video. It's a recent one. So we know that June the 2nd, which, okay, it's not too far on, right? But maybe it was unfinished business. Maybe there was a little bit of extra evidence which wasn't disposed of. And Brenner was like, well, with the police presence, with search and rescue and the family being in the area, I probably better get on with this stuff and, try and dispose of it. How does that tie in with the next marker though down here? Well, I can explain. I say June the 2nd, 2nd of June or later. That's when it occurred. I didn't hear Candice Cooley mention the exact date, but basically Candice Cooley was saying that Jim and Don went down to Wendover, whether it be West Wendover on the Nevada side or going over the border into the Utah side of Wendover, right? There's a split down the middle, as you can see by the border. That's where they went down. But why? Candice Cooley said they could have gone down there to dispose of the trash, the bin bags. Now, how is it worded by Candice Cooley to do with that spring cleaning? Okay. Well, she said it was white bin bags, which is a bit odd. Now, other people say it's black bin bags. Some people are saying, well, why would you have white bin bags outside? Wouldn't it be black ones? So there's kind of confusion around that, okay? With Lance and Ty coming across their own bones in a bag, which was a black bin bag, double wrapped. That seemed to be squashed by Candice Cooley, saying, no, it was a white bin bag, what Brenner had, and there was about 4 of them, right? So we go back to tell this story to explain how we get from there to down here. I can do that, okay? So June the 2nd at the grain shed with the police presence in the area, sat back watching. Brenner gets out of his trailer, goes to the grain shed, and as worded by Candice Cooley, and from what the LE were there witnessing, Brenner got inside of Dylan's grain truck, drove it out so then he could, get into the shed because, there's not much space within. So he was able to go into a crime scene, use touch tamper evidence, the grain truck, the last known truck Dylan supposedly drove, contaminate, mess with the evidence and the fingerprints within on the wheel, move it out so then Brenner could get inside of the shed and start bagging things up. But what was he putting inside of those bags? That's the question. Was it bones, remains? Was it clothing? Was it pipes? An object used to hurt Dylan? Was it anything else? I'll do a brief poll, okay, right now. Why not? Another key question. What do you think? What do you think were put inside of those bin bags during the spring cleaning on June the 2nd, right? Do you think it was clothing of Dylan's? Clothing of Brenner's? Was it Dylan's remains or part of them? Or something else? If you'd like to comment down below. I'd like to see the votes and see what people think, right? It is unknown, but there's no harm in guessing or trying to think logically, right? It's most likely secondary pieces of evidence, because if Candice Cooley said Dylan was taken care of in one day on the 28th, then June the 2nd, that must just be bits and bobs just to try and reduce as much trace or tracks associated back to the suspect, possibly. Now, during the spring cleaning, Brenner was there, and it was only him. And Candice Cooley said Brenner took the bin bags back to his vehicle and dumped them in the back of the truck. But then later, in recent time, Candice Cooley said he took the bin bags and put them near to his trailer. So there's a slight bit of contradiction and changing of information there, partially, which doesn't help. But I think whether they were put near the trailer or in the truck, whichever way round, it happened, because then Candice Cooley did go on to say that at some point after that, Jim and Don took a trip down to Wendover, possibly to dispose of those bags. Now, that is a possibility, right? And this is where the story continues. So whatever day it is after June the 2nd, whether it's the same day or a few days after 2nd of June, Don and Jim get into the truck. Now, question is, who's driving the truck? Is it Brenner? Is it Don? In recent time, Candice Cooley said Brenner wouldn't go far with the truck. He wouldn't leave Lucin or go on the highway for whatever reason. So he wouldn't have disposed of Dylan that far away. But isn't that a contradiction by Candice Cooley? Candice Cooley is saying that Brenner wouldn't go far, wouldn't go out there to dispose of Dylan. But he would to go down to Wendover, which is quite far away, which involves kind of going onto the highway. You see what I'm saying? Contradictions there by Candice Cooley. Brenner wouldn't do this, but he would. What? Do you understand that? Can you pick up on that? Anyway, I know there's a lot to take in once again. But Jim and Don, let's say they drive down here, they go the back route, the back roads. They can get through the gate, obviously, because it might either be already open or Brenner's got access to it because he's got the keys. I don't know at what point he would turn off, going down one of the back roads, getting to that point where you're on this road over here. You see this dirt one near McGinty Canyon. Whether it be turning off earlier on and coming down this dirt road, or carrying on south past the sun tunnels and then taking a right and joining onto this dirt road, whichever way it occurred, this is possibly the route they took. Okay. Oh, am I on the correct road? No, this is the one too far back. Apologies about that. This one. Sorry about that. I'll drop the coordinates to fix the error made. The coordinates, roughly in this area of this road, could be the way Don and Jim went, heading south to get to Wendover or West Wendover, right? Was there any other reasons to go down there? Well, maybe it was to get a drink, go to a casino, a motel. We don't know how long they stayed there. There's several questions to be explored. You know, they might have got food, right? You know, they might be running low on supplies. I don't know. It's not like they can go to Montello, which is a bit more local, right? Because they're not really welcome there, and it might be a bit awkward, the ambience. And if for whatever reason they're involved in Dylan's disappearance, then maybe they want to stay far away from that place so they don't get targeted or they don't look suspicious. So why not go to a completely different area? Now, take in mind, another question I ask you, did Jim or Don ever go to Wendover in the past? Was it a regular visit or not? That aside, keep that in mind. The drive down here, and you know, you would have seen my Wendover map analysis in the past. If not, it's on my channel. It's from a while ago now. Also, apologies if the processing or loading of images is a little bit slow. That's just typical Google. Eventually, you know, you get these like dirt roads. As you can see, you can follow the light track. It's kind of thin, it shows up. There is a trailer nearby, but that was in 2019, which disappeared over time, so we don't need to look at that. Apologies I'm going fast, it's just because I don't want it to drag out too much as well. So, trailer, RV trailer, is just right there. But that's 2019, so I don't think it's relevant. If you know anything about this trailer or any follow-ups, feel free. But it disappeared in 2020, I believe. Look, there's the coordinates to it. Okay, if you do want to type it in yourself. If you can't type the coordinates in quick enough, you can pause the video and then do it that way, or take a photo and copy and paste it afterwards, right? It's under control, there's options. But yeah, that aside, let me zoom out. There we go. Apologies about background sound, there's some weird clicking sound coming off here and then being in parallel to the highway but not actually being on it. But I think at a certain point you probably would have had to cross over, like at this point here, turning off, unless you could carry on. Well, yeah, look, there's that dirt road which comes off here, which then I guess, well, it doesn't quite connect, does it? It comes down here. And then you can see it comes down here. And then maybe if you like, actually, why does the track marks why do the track marks come to this point where it's like a clearing and then there's like some white object there? Because you can't exactly drive down onto the highway because you look at the gradient, it's not exactly practical. That's a little bit dodgy. But at whatever point, getting onto the highway, obviously to get down to Wendover, which is down here. And there's the marker, just briefly to the side. And, you know, in this area, we have looked at it. We can, oh my God, Scooby Park.
Reggie, take me to Scooby Park. Oh, I hope there's Scooby-Doo's in the area. Oh, let me steal my Scooby snacks. Oh, Reggie. No, I cannot do this anymore. No.
Is there any photos of the park? Oh my God, there is. Okay. Only one. Well, I don't think Jim and Don went all the way down to Wendover to play on the slide and swings. Just imagine if Jim and Don went to go on the seesaw going up and down. They would definitely look out of place. And to be honest, if Brenner went down that slide up there, I think he would have needed air ambulance because he would have got stuck on it, knowing his look and size. But yeah, that aside, let's just go on to street level very briefly, right? Whereabouts should we put the marker? Somewhere like that. We don't need to look at motels because we have looked at that already. Okay, and I did look at every one, believe me. But you see the area, it looks a bit more developed, but it has been described as a lot of crime going on. There is the Rainbow Casino, so could Jim and Don have gone there? Or could they have gone to get fast food over this way, in which you can see a McDonald's? You know, they might have gone down to maybe dispose of evidence, possibly, but they might have also got food in the area. The question I put forwards is, if the FBI can get information, evidence, and CCTV footage of Clinton, of Snowville and Ogden, CCTV footage of fast food places which depict Chase Venstra in those areas on a certain date at certain times during the day. If the FBI can do that, then why has no CCTV footage have been salvaged, questioned, analysed, collected in Wendover? Why not? Because, you know, if you think about it, if you look back, they were able to get FBI CCTV footage of Chase Venstra back on the 28th of May. When Jim and Don went to Wendover, in which there's most likely CCTV cameras in the area, I'm sure of that, and that was June the 2nd or after it, you know, that's newer compared to the 28th, isn't it? The 28th of May is before June, right? So if you can get CCTV footage from back then in May, then most definitely you can get CCTV footage ahead of that going into June, right? You can't come up with the excuse saying, "Oh, the CCTV is outdated. We don't have it stored anywhere." No, I'm sure they could. So that's the question I ask to you, and I don't know how to quite word it in a poll. I just need to put the light on in between because I can't see where I'm walking because it's dark. So I'll put it in a poll right now. Do you think, do you agree that CCTV footage needs to be pulled from the area of Wendover or West Wendover to see if Jim and Don was in the area? There's got to be CCTV footage. If they could do it with Chase Venstra in different areas, then they most definitely could do it with Jim and Don. It's weird how they've gone to more of an effort looking into Chase Venstra and his whereabouts when he wasn't really involved in the case to begin with, and yet they've done less with the ones who were more involved, like Jim and Don. Doesn't that seem a bit weird? Putting more effort into a less important person and less effort into a more important person. That seems kind of weird, right? So once again, it'll be interesting to see what people say or how people vote, because I just feel like there's CCTV in the area, right? And if you can do it for one person, you can do it for the other. It could reveal more timestamps. It could reveal specifically where they were. I think if people don't know about the CCTV, I'm sure Ty Corbyn knows, because Ty Corbyn has gone down to Wendover on several occasions. So once again, Ty Corbyn, if you're present right now, can you confirm whether there are CCTV cameras in the area of Wendover or out and about? Yes or no? And if so, do you agree that the CCTV should be analysed to see what Jim and Don were doing in Wendover? I want to know. So there you go. Got McDonald's. Yeah. Now, the only other thing I'll do quickly, just to tie it in with the whole disposing of rubbish. How do I word it? Just type in Wendover first of all so it knows where we're at. Did I spell it right? Wendover, Utah. There we go. Just type in like waste disposal. We did do this in a previous video, so that's why I don't want to get too deep into this. But basically, there's numerous places in Wendover. You got Jazz Foundation, you got West Wendover Bin Rental, and then what? Further down here, you got West Wendover Public Works, and then maybe some other things in between. That is probably the possibility one of them was visited, or one of the unmarked ones, by Jim and Don, hence getting rid of the bin bags. So maybe there's CCTV footage in those areas which could show them chucking the rubbish away, right? There's a possibility. I don't think there are images of the area. No, it's a blank screen, unfortunately. That's the only problem with this place. The bin rental one, no images. Jazz Foundation, oh, okay. Okay, let's just check Jazz Foundation anyway. Senior Centre Resource. Oh, is it? Thrift Store Food Bank. Oh, well, that's not quite what we're looking for. But then again, it can tie in with the one in Montello, the Montello Food Bank, in which Lance was supposedly there the time Justin was working, well, volunteering to get answers for Dylan's disappearance in the early days in Montello. But you get the idea. This area will have waste disposal, a landfill, a rubbish tip, collection point, and one of them, Jim and Don, could have gone down to dispose of the bags. If that's truly the case, you can look at the CCTV footage if it's available to see if that really did happen and where, or it could debunk it and clear it up, right? But where's the CCTV footage? That's the important part. Now, if we wanted to tie it all in at the end of the day, well, what about the CCTV footage? Get off. What about the CCTV footage with areas up here? Well, there isn't any in Lucin from the looks of it. There might be some trail cams out and about further afar. Supposedly there are trail cams and supposedly they're still present now at the grain shed but not at the farm, despite supposedly Jim Terry advising the parents to put it there so they would be able to capture who returned back to the trailer with the items. But the reason why the only trail cams are said at the grain shed was after Dylan's disappearance, which didn't really pick anything up. Okay? So, yeah. As for Montello, I did try looking in the area and it doesn't seem like there are any cameras. I looked at the bar, I didn't see any cameras outside or in when looking at the photos of Pancakes and Google. Some people said there's the odd camera, one or two. There's one at the rubbish place, the tip, whether it be a new development or something in recent time, but they're lacking in CCTV, hence why they've not retrieved anything. And I think it would have been a key place, right, to look at for CCTV to see whether the fight occurred on the 26th of May or not, and to see if Dylan showed up in the footage as well, but none of that can be done, unfortunately. So there's a lot of questions, different stories, a lot to process. Hopefully leads can come out of this video or things can be debunked. Why not type in food bank whilst we're here, just to see if it does actually come up. Montello NV, just there we go. Food bank. Will it show up? No. Food distribution centre in Elkham. So it's away from it. Okay. But there is supposedly one in Montello. Okay, fair enough. Right, so as you saw, there was a lot of questions and a lot talked about. Okay, with some of the timestamps at least. I just wanted to go over this as well as go over previous events which occurred in the past, like Brenner's trailer burning down. I do recommend that you maybe rewatch this video again, maybe at a later point, just in case you weren't able to internalize or pick up on all of the discussion and questions and theories and stories. You might be able to break it down in different parts. But there's no harm in rewatching it again at a later point, right? Why not? So, you can leave your thoughts, additional points, unanswered questions, or your own reactions to this video down below. As I said, I think this is one of the deepest ones. This is probably more deeper than Indiana has ever gone before in her entire life when it comes to food and like donuts with holes in. So, worth taking into mind. Now, because it's a very long video in terms of the motel analysis ones, they take, I think, about an hour. So this would nearly be like over 2 hours, nearly 3 hours long. And for the sake of the storage on my phone to be able to, you know, successfully upload this video tonight and meet the deadline, I'll probably do it as a standalone. So the next video, because this one is very deep and consuming with the mind, you can unwind and relax in the next video with the motels. So Indiana, your sigh of relief is noted. Another day of escaping from them, so don't worry. But as for Weedle I know she is going to be disappointed right now, because I said at the start of this video we might take a look at them, but as well, when it comes down to language, I did say if there is time, and there is not enough time. And you know what? I could like show one additional motel, right? Do you know, like how I did with the previous one? But that was like a sneak preview. If I start doing one motel at a time, you know, it's like really drip feeding. You know, it's like teasing. It's almost like, yeah, come on, I'm gonna strip now. I'm gonna strip tease, yeah. But guess what? You're only getting this part for now. The next part is in the next video. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't like it? Well, never mind. There you go, that's my top as well. That's skull as well. Horns as well. Oh no. Maria, do you like the top? And then you got some writing there. I don't know what it says. Okay. Yeah. Oh, actually, the colour red. I've just realised the colour red matches Cleo's profile picture. Yeah, and the horns as well, because she has horns as well. There's a lot of horns. Okay. But that aside, I'd rather do it all in one go. You know, if I start doing little driplets, little drops, little like drops and splashes of water all over the place, like the motels, fragmented, and I might forget which one I've covered and which one I haven't. So I'll do it all as a dedicated video next time. It'll be wild, okay? Well, it could be wild, and there could be unexpected things which might happen in that video. Unexpected stuff. You think you can take it? Well, I hope so. So, Weedle, I know you're there. Oh, stop rolling your eyes at me. Don't worry, you'll get your 1 hour of fame with all of the motels you've been in and all the beds you've messed up and not folded the sheets. I know. It'll eventually get to that, but what's that? Yeah, okay, I can see a hand. Okay, it looks somewhat smooth. What do you want? More compliments, Weedle? Yeah? What do you want? What, you want to shake hands? Whoa! What a firm grip you have, Weedle. I'm slightly concerned. Can you please restrain so I can get blood flow back in my hand? Thank you. So, what is the problem, Weedle? You want me to get closer? Is that what you meant? Oh, okay, you want me to get a bit closer. Is that close enough? No? A little bit more? Yeah? Okay, yeah, I can see your hand. Right, so what now? What happens now? Yeah? Whoa! Whoa, what are you doing? Weedle, what are you doing? Can you please get off? Are you trying to choke me? It's not going to work. I have a 17.5-inch neck. You can't get your hands around it. No, you can't. Back off. Get off. Weedle, get off. Okay. I know you're disappointed because of no hotels. I know. Calm down. It can be sorted. Whoa. That did not warrant a slap, Weedle. Can you please refrain from doing that? Stop it. No. Stop slapping me all over the place. I am not in the mood to be slapped. Get your hand off me. No more. There'll be consequences. If you carry on, I'll shove this carrot somewhere. Okay? Oh, you want that? Oh, fuck's sake. Can't win, can I? Never mind. So, is that it? No? Right. What more do you want? You want me to kiss your hand? Why would I do that? No way. Oh no, you're gonna force me. Oh no. No, don't expose that secret. It wasn't my fault I stepped on all of the bees, including the dog. It's not my fault I ate all the muffins. It's not my fault I drank all of Linda's remaining wine. I'm sorry. It's not my fault that I ate all of Famous Op's food. You know, you don't have to expose that publicly. Oh, okay. You're trying to blackmail me. Fine, Wheelby. Okay. There you go. Is that good enough? Yeah? Yeah? Whoa! What are you doing? Why are you shoving your hand in my mouth? My God. Sorry about that. What's that, Wheedleby? Wait, hold a minute. Where has that hand been? Where has your finger visited? Oh, I think I need to go and get some mouthwash. So I am back. I have cleansed myself thoroughly, externally, internally. I'll even just finish off with a bit of water. I think my mouth will recover with time. Wheedleby. Wow. Anyway, aside from that, before we go, just in case Famous Op didn't see it earlier on, okay, the horse did say hello earlier on. And because this video has been deep and long and wide and vast, the horse is hungry. So, Famous Op, do you want to feed the horse? Yeah? You want to give the horse the carrot? Yeah? Look, there's the carrot. There you go. Can you see it? Famous Op. Give the horse a carrot. Go on. Yes, I know, Famous Op, you might want to eat a bit as well. Do you know what? You can share it between the two. Go on then. Share it off camera. Okay. Okay, well, it's not supposed to be a romantic scene like with the noodles where you get too close to one another and the lips touch, but it depends if you want to touch the horse's lips. Whoa, okay. Okay, calm down. Whoa, horse, I'll have to refrain you for a second. There you go. And, yeah, Famous Op, you want the pear? Yeah, okay. Just give the horse food. There we go. Now, apologies for anyone that has joined at this moment, whether it be seeing a hand inserted in my mouth or feeding a horse. Don't worry, if you want to look at Dylan Rounds deeply and focus in on that, that's earlier on in this video, and for most part of it, quite deep. Make sure to watch that if you've just joined now, okay? As for everyone else, feel free to watch my previous video. There'll be a link down below in the pinned comment section. And yeah, I think that is it. But where's Ted? You know? Where's Theodore? Theodore? Ted? Teddy? Where are you? I don't know. I don't know where he is. What? Who's Ted? You know who Ted is. You know, Ted. Well, no, it's only a few people. I just don't know where he is or what he's up to. What is he doing? You know, what could be more important than watching this video, right? Being sat here in front of that chat. Come on, Ted. Maybe you know, Maria.